All right, we are live now. Hello, everyone. How it's going? I'm sure you are having a good weekend so far. I'm sure you are enjoying your weekend so far, and it's almost the end of the weekend if you are joining from India. And if you are joining from somewhere in North America, Europe, still you have your Sunday. So that is why like we meet every weekend around this time on Sunday so that we can discuss about if you have any important questions, if you have any career guidance that you are seeking for, or specifically if you have any doubts related to our CKA series that's been currently ongoing, which is Certified Kubernetes Administrator. We have completed 28 videos so far, and and no, we completed actually 24 videos, and I have scheduled the next 4 videos for the coming week. So this is what we are discussing. So feel free to ask if you have any questions, any doubts related to that series, or anything in particular related to cloud or DevOps, right? um So the other thing that I wanted to ask, okay, we'll start the discussion shortly. Meanwhile, others are joining. So if you have just joined, let me know if my audio is coming correctly, if you are able to see the visuals, and let me know from where you are joining, like your city, country, like wherever you are joining from, so that we can have a quick discussion about it. So yeah, let's see our first message. Hello, Dr. Hemant. How are you? Thank you for joining and thank you for supporting each of my videos. I really appreciate that. Um, Richie is saying thank you so much for the K8 series, Piyush. Pleasure is all mine, Ricky. I'm glad that you are finding the videos helpful. So it's all my pleasure. Thank you. Sandy is saying grateful for full CK course in Hindi. Oh, sorry, I I never released the CK course in Hindi. It's still in English. Everything is in English. You might have mistaken, but any plans in future you will include Helm K8's operators videos? Yes, definitely, Sandy. So what I did, I did not included operators, Helm, or Argo CD, GitOps. Um, Topics like custom resources, CRDs. There is the reason that I did not include it because first of all, they all are part of CKAD, right? Rather than CKA. Like from CKA, you can expect the topics that is around cluster maintenance, installation, you know, everything from an administrator perspective. But the topics such as these are mostly from the development perspective. So that's why we'll be included that in the CKAD series, or um, I will keep extending this series once we are done with the CKA part. So till video 41, we have CKA series, and after that, all the videos that we will be seeing will be all focused on all the important concepts such as these ones. So yes, definitely we'll be including all of those. Whatever you want to study, I'm here to teach you. So don't worry about it. Krishna is saying your CK playlist really helps me. Thank you so much, Krishna. Would you do a Terraform session after K8? So, Richie, definitely, if there are enough requests for the Terraform series, definitely I'm gonna do it. It's like the way I work is I ask my subscribers and viewers from LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Discord, from all the platforms that I'm part of. I ask them which series they want to do next, and if there are enough votes, if there are enough requests for any series, then that's what I do, right? So I have few topics in mind for the next series. Linux is one of those, Terraform, because we have been getting a lot of requests for Terraform these days. So yes, Linux, Terraform, then GKE, which is a managed Kubernetes service provided by GCP. So that's another topic. And topics such as these, like the advanced Kubernetes topics that were not part of CKA till now, and like few more. So I'm gonna start a poll soon, and based on the results, based on what people vote, I will decide the next series. So it's all it's not what I want, it's like what the viewers want to see. I'll definitely work on that. Okay. Hmm. Krishna, can you cover topics like ingress? So, Krishna, ingress is already covered in this series. I believe it is day 33. day 31 or 33, it's one of those. So you can find the details in the GitHub repository. Ingress is covered. Helm charts, I've already told you the plans for that. Hello, Ahmad. I hope you are doing well. Okay, I am preparing for CKA. Definitely, this series will help you end to end with the CKA, even if you are a beginner to Kubernetes or Docker. Like I have covered everything, so don't worry about it. All you need is basic Linux knowledge, basic Unix commands, and how to work with the Linux-based operating system such as Ubuntu. So that's all you need. Okay. Okay. Richie is joining from Nigeria. Welcome. For KH, is there different knowing K8s on premises and cloud native way? There is no cloud native way, Sandy. Um, K8s on premises have different offerings. Like you can install K8s on multiple ways using multiple ways. Um, and you can definitely select the way that you want. Okay, so I'm just gonna share a short diagram which will explain this in a better way. So just give me a second. um uh, uh, all right. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. So this diagram is what this is what I've covered in one of the videos, so don't worry, but I'm just going to give a quick overview. So there are different ways of installing and setting up a Kubernetes cluster, right? So it depends on your requirements, your cost requirements, your budget requirements, your performance requirements, your requirements of how do you want to manage it, right? So first is, if you want to do it just for the POC or for the local installation, for quickly test out something or for the learning purpose like what we are doing, then we have different offerings such as Kind, which is what we have used in almost half of this series. K3s, Minikube, K9, I believe. There are multiple ways you can do that. So Kind is the one that we have used in most of these videos. And Kind is Kubernetes in Docker. That means it uses your operating system, and it uses the machine that you are using. Let's say if you are on Windows, or if you are on Linux machine or a Mac machine, it creates multiple containers, and those containers acts as Kubernetes nodes, right? So that's how Kind works, and that's what we have used. Then if you don't want to use POC or local installation, then you can go with the either self-managed service or a managed service. What do you mean by managed, or self-managed or managed service? Self-managed is, you want to retain all the control of underlying operating system. You want to retain all the control of your maintenance task, your administrative tasks such as patching, upgrade, all the control plane components. So that means you are self managing your control plane nodes and everything underlined to it, right? So there are different options, like for again, for a small enterprise or for something that you want to quickly set up, we use these offerings such as Vagrant on a virtual box, multipass. That this multipass works well with even the latest machines such as Mac M3. It works well with that. Then we have virtual machines on cloud. So this is what I have used on rest of the series. So I have told you, right, that I have used a Kind for the half of the series, and for rest half of the series, so there are some restrictions with Kind. So we cannot use Kind for everything. For example, we cannot do a cluster upgrade on Kind. We cannot add more nodes, or we cannot remove the nodes from Kind, and so on. Like there are many things that you cannot do in Kind. For that, we have used this option, VMs on cloud, right? So that we could complete the entire task of installation, upgrades, and whatever. Like there are so many etcd backup and restore and so on. So for that, we have used VM on cloud. Then there are different enterprise offerings such as bare metal or VMware, where you provision a VMware cluster, and on that you set up your own Kubernetes cluster, and you manage everything. Then if you don't want this overhead of managing your operating system, of or virtual machines underneath it, or even the control plane components, you want your upgrade happens with just a click of button or automatic, and you want the installation is quick, like within few minutes. So for that, you used a managed Kubernetes service on cloud, such as EKS, which is Elastic Kubernetes Service by AWS. We have AKS, which is Azure Kubernetes Service on Azure Cloud. We have GKE, which is Google Kubernetes Engine on GCP Cloud. We have many more, like we have OpenShift, we have Rancher, we have I believe Oracle Cloud will have something, HashiCorp Cloud will have something, and so on. So there are these many managed Kubernetes service. Now there is also a trade-off between performance, between high availability, between the cost, because it will incur some higher cost as they are managing the infrastructure for you. So managed Kubernetes will have higher costs as well, and so on. So there are different perspectives. I hope this had make sense and this had answered your question. So let's go back to the questions. Okay. Please, next series on Helm, and thanks for Kubernetes. Yes, Abuzar, Helm is not such a big topic that we need entire series for that. Maybe a couple of hours of a video or two videos split it down into 1 hour each, and that should be more than enough. Yes, but we'll try to cover it. That's what we have discussed earlier. I'm joining from Ghana. Hello, vibes on vibes. New to Kubernetes, don't worry about it. Everyone is new to Kubernetes or a particular tool or technology at some point of time. So it's all right. Everything is good. Vivek, hello, Vivek. In DevOps, which programming language is mostly used? So there is no right answer to this. It depends. Like programming language, comes and people adapt it, and sometimes a new programming language come and then it most of the people start using it. Most of the organization adopt it. So it's hard to say which, but the most commonly used programming languages in DevOps particularly are Python, Golang, then we have Node.js, and so on. Like there could be others as well, but these are the most commonly used. Hello, Guru. I hope you are doing great. Hello, Krishna. And best book to learn Kubernetes. Do suggest any course? Oh, so I mean, you are asking for the course. This is what we are doing. So check out. Go to my channel. Let me show you the screen where it is. Okay. So you go to my channel. Go to playlist, right? And then there'll be a playlist which says Certified Kubernetes Administrator Full Course. And if you see, we have 28 videos scheduled so far, 24 has been done. And for the next week, I have scheduled 4 more videos in which we'll talk about Kubernetes service account, network policies, and we'll also set up a multi node Kubernetes cluster on virtual machines using kubeadm. And from this video onwards, from 27 video onwards, we'll be using that setup instead of kind, right? And then we'll start with the storage section. So before getting into Kubernetes storage, we'll look into how storage and how volume works in Docker itself, and then we'll move to the Kubernetes storage part, persistent volume, and so on, like the other important concepts. So yeah, this is where you can start with. And this is not just, we are not just starting directly from Kubernetes. You start with Docker tutorials, like basic Docker fundamentals, including its architecture, how to Dockerize a project, multi-stage Docker build, and many other important concepts. And from time to time, you will see all the prerequisites videos, such as these ones, such as Docker storage, such as how DNS works, such as um, there are many other things. So you can find it out. So this is where you can start with. Make sure you know a basic understanding of Linux, and that should be more than enough. Okay. At the end of the series, can you cover some demo questions which is previously asked in the CK exam? Yes, Krishna, don't worry about it. There's gonna be an entire series about it. Sorry, I take that back. There's gonna be an entire video about that. Okay, so video number 41 will be about this exam pattern, important questions. And because I recently gave the exam, I gave the exam this month itself. I was able to clear it, and I made sure that my entire playlist is up to date with the latest curriculum. Everything is covered in that. Plus I have included all the questions that came in my exam for you to practice, for you to do the hands on. So don't worry about it. Video number 41 will be about this topic itself. Hello, Monday. uh, I hope you're having a good Sunday. Can you explain a killer coda scenario if I share it here? Moise, maybe like if we start doing that, it's gonna take the entire time. Maybe we keep this session for any quick questions that you have or any quick doubts that you have. And if you have these type of questions, you can put that in our Discord server community, and we'll try to help. Okay. Can you make a video on CRD and Kubernetes backup? Yes, that's what I've told you, right? That CRDs and all the advanced concepts will be covered once we are done with this series. Okay. And this series, just wanted to keep the focus on all the fundamentals of Kubernetes, all the basic concepts and topics that you need, and like from basic to intermediate level, and as per the CKA exam, and rest all these topics. These are also important topics, but it does not have any dependency on CKA or what we were doing till now. So we'll be covering that, all of these after like once we are done with this series. Any GCP free certification? Tushar, I recently published a video about GCP free certification. They run a quarterly program. It's called Get Into Cloud or Get Certified, something like that. And they provide the free certification voucher, and they even provide the trainings for that. So check out the video on my channel. But it was like for this quarter, the program has ended. They have stopped accepting more registrations now, but it will come again in the next quarter, maybe in next 2-3 months. So I will post the video as soon as it is there. So don't worry about it. You will get to know. Make sure you subscribe the channel, and make sure you get you turn on the notification so that you get notified as soon as I publish the video. Okay. Is this series enough for Kubernetes learning, basic to advanced? Chirag, I'll be very honest with you. It will be from basic to intermediate, no advanced. Like, I would consider taking the etcd backup, installation of cluster, high availability cluster upgrade, and these activities are still the intermediate level of Kubernetes, right? So for advanced, if I include all the advanced topic in the Kubernetes, it will take me maybe next couple of years to complete that. There are so many advanced topics in Kubernetes. So yes, it cannot be done in a 40 video series. It's much more than that, right? So I would have said, like, yes, it would have covered everything, basic to advanced, but that's not I want to do, right? I'll be just keeping myself honest with you. Yes, it's gonna be from basic to intermediate. For advanced, we'll be covering more topics, but it will happen slowly. Like, it wouldn't be like I cover everything about Kubernetes in next 2 months or 3 months. It will happen, gradually. So stay tuned for that. I just have to containerize my office website. What should I do? Tushar, it's not, this question does not provide me anything about your tech stack, about your infrastructure, about how your website is hosted, and I cannot provide any answer to that. So what I will say, okay, start with the CK series, start with the Docker fundamentals, start with dockerizing a simple app, a simple hello world, a simple to do app, and then think about how you can use that concept that you have learned to dockerize your office website, right? Start from there, and if you face any issues, you can ask in our Discord server, right? But make sure you try it out yourself first. Just don't ask these questions like, how do I containerize my office app? No one would have any idea what you are talking about, right? And it will be a vague question to ask. I don't think anyone can help you like this. Okay. So first try out yourself, learn the basic concepts, try out yourself. And if you are stuck somewhere, then ask your question, providing all the enough details, right? All the details, not just a one liner. Okay. Welcome, Sandy. Kuch P. Hello. I guess it's Piyush God. Hello, Piyush again. I just joined the live. Can I have a question not regarding the current topic? Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. Yes. If it's something that we can answer quickly, then yes, definitely go ahead. What would you suggest for DevOps, Python, Go, Bash, or all? I would say start with Bash. Bash is the basic, or Bash is something that you should start with, and then pick from either Python or Go, right? Bash, because it's more of a scripting language, it does not provide you all the flexibility, or you cannot do everything just from the Bash, right? So start with that, and then move to either Python or Go. because it provides you advanced, capabilities of doing the things. So the goal of a DevOps engineer, or the as part of the DevOps engineer role, you will be automating a lot of manual tasks, right? So just try to think it that way and see which language you can use that. Python, Go, both are fine. I'm a big fan of your videos. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sagar. I really appreciate that. Can you please make videos on EKS cluster disaster recovery and CRD real time example and EKS backup? Yes, Sagar, will definitely try to cover all the advanced concepts as I mentioned, including disaster recovery, backup and restore, CRD, operators, Helm, GitOps, Argo CD. I have a never ending list that I want to cover. So, yes, we'll be doing that. Don't worry. How did you learn these tools? Like these are a lot of tools. How did you master it? Want to be like you on the CK series? Spend a lot of time daily because you are inspiration. I take motivation. Thank you so much, Abuzar, for the kind words. Okay, so what I did, like, it doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes time to learn everything. So I have been in IT for more than 12 years now, and I have learned one thing at a time. I never rushed into the things. And for the past 7 8 years, I believe I'm working with DevOps, and for past 5 6 years I've been working with cloud and Kubernetes. So there was a long journey behind all these learnings that I'm sharing these days, right? And I try to keep myself up to date with all the new tools or new technologies that are coming to the market, with respect to what I already know. So I don't want to move ahead of what my expertise lies with, and I just want to strict myself to that direction only. So I keep doing that. Plus, like I have been working with Kubernetes as part of my day to day rule. Like that's what I do on from 9 to 5. So many a times I don't have to take the time from my schedule and learn a tool. Sometimes, the issue that I face, it teaches me and it helps me master the tool. I wouldn't say master the tool, because mastering a tool or technology, uh, it's really a relative concept. Maybe for me, mastering means, like, let's say, be able to do certain tasks or be able to achieve certain goals for an organization or something. But for someone else, mastering means you should be able to write everything about that tool, or you should be able to create custom plugins, or you should be able to create um you should be able to create a new feature that's not been there in the tool. So it's quite a relative term, and I don't say I'm a master of anything. I just know something, and I know it enough that I'm able to apply that in my job, and I'm able to teach that to someone who's trying to learn, right? So that's my extent of mastery. Okay. I have also started Kate's playlist, getting one common issue image pull back off. It's okay. Abhi Vishwa, it's okay. When you start something, it's good that you are facing issues. If you wouldn't have faced the issue, that means you have not learned much about it. If you are facing the issue, then you will be doing your research. Then you will be starting reading about that error or the topic, and then you will be asking for help, and that's where the learning starts. When you find a issue, you do the research, you try to fix it, and you keep troubleshooting it. That's how you improve your troubleshooting skills. That's how you learn anything new. It's good that you are facing the issues. And about the image pullback off, if you are facing image pullback off, that means you are not able to pull the image from the repository. So there could be many reasons, right? Either you are pulling a image that is part of a private repo and you don't have access to it, or you are using wrong credentials, or you are not writing the correct name or image tag, right? Or there are some networking issues which is restricting you to pull the image. So there could be many more. Now you have to drill down to the point which issue you are facing exactly, and then you can go to that direction. You can do a more experiment, like if this is a private image for which you are facing issue, you can validate your credentials and so on. it is a public image, then try to pull some other image and see if you are facing the same issue over there as well. Try to debug the scenarios, try to look into logs, try to do the Docker inspect, try to validate your Docker file, and you will eventually figure out the issue is. Okay. Hello, Mohammed Jalaluddin. How is SRE different from DevOps? So there are a lot of overlapping roles and responsibilities when it comes to DevOps and SRE. But for an SRE, the most of the focus is on creating SLOs, SLIs, and observability, setting up all the proactive alerting on your system, on your application. Make sure that you are there 24/7, or I mean, not you physically, as an on call shift rotation, so that if there is any production outage, someone from your team could join in and try to fix the issue. So focus is mostly on observability plus automating manual tasks. The things that have never done before, the things that are manual till now, you should be able to automate those to achieve a good level of SLA, and to provide a better experience to your end users, right? We'll discuss that more in a detail. I'm trying to start a new series about podcasts wherein I will invite industry experts to talk about the role that you are part of, different roles that have not much visibility, like SRE, cloud architect, solution architect, and like there are different roles. So I'm planning to bring in industry experts who are working on those roles. Everyone can talk about anything, but the real experience will come from someone who is actually working on those. I could talk about anything today. I could talk about SRE, but would that be fair for me to do that? I have never worked an SRE before, right? So it's better if I call someone who is working as an SRE and who should be able to provide you these answers. So I'm planning that, and it will happen soon. Would it be easy to learn AKS after KA's all concept remain same? Yes. Just Jalaluddin, that's totally true, and that's what my plan is. That's why I did not started this series directly with a managed service such as AKS or GKE, right? So there is a process, right? You learn Linux, then you learn containers or Docker, then you learn Kubernetes vanilla installation or on-prem installation, then you learn managed Kubernetes service. If I would have started directly with a managed Kubernetes service, that means you wouldn't understand a lot of things that are behind the scenes. Like, control plane is managed and operated by a cloud provider in a managed service like AKS. So you wouldn't be able to do all those things manually that we did with the on-prem installation, right? So that means we had less learning on that topic, and I didn't want to do that. So that's why we are going one step at a time. And yes, after this, AKS will be just a fancy tool on top of Kubernetes, and that's it, right? It will provide you a user interface. It will provide you a quick like, if you have to install a Kubernetes cluster on AKS, you can just enter few details and hit next, 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 and your cluster will be provisioned. But when you do it manually, and what you will see in video 27 that we have done, there are a lot more things behind the scene that you will be learning. So yes, trust the process. Don't worry, it will be all fine. Hello Dave, I hope you are doing good. Thanks for joining. I learned the Azure DevOps because I need it in my current company starter and like it, but I'm clueless regarding what job roles should I approach. What else should I be learning? Little mentoring. Sure. So what I would say is, if you have learned Azure DevOps already, implemented it, everything, and Azure DevOps is nothing but a tool that helps you implement CI/CD. This is similar to Jenkins. This is similar to GitHub Actions, Bitbucket CI/CD pipeline, GitLab CI/CD pipeline, and so on. Right. The roles that you will be aiming after, or anything that has something to do with either cloud or DevOps, because in the end you will be using things that you have learned. to implement CI/CD or to implement monitoring, alerting, logging, automating manual tasks, all those things, infrastructure as a code, right? So the scenarios that we have covered, in if you have learned through my series, I'm not sure from where you have learned, but if you have learned from my series, I have included all the scenarios. Like I have included CI/CD using Azure DevOps on Kubernetes, on Azure Container Instances, which is a managed container service, on a serverless such as Azure Function, and infrastructure as a code with Azure DevOps and Terraform. So I have tried to include all those topics. And when you apply for a role, you apply with the, you know broad knowledge of all the scenarios. But when you actually are working in a company, you are working on a particular area of it. Like let's say uh, you will be working with infrastructure as a code using Terraform and Azure DevOps. So to clear the interview, you should know all those things, maybe get some expertise in a couple of those domains. And but when you'll be working on a particular area, if it's not a, a startup, or if it's not a small scale company, right? So after that, I would say, if you have learned all those things, I would say Kubernetes is a good way to start if you haven't started it yet. I'm not saying this because I have a Kubernetes series. So no, I have series for almost everything that is part of cloud and DevOps. I have for Azure, for GCP, many videos about AWS, real time projects, and so on. There are many more playlists that I have created, and many more in the pipeline. I'm saying that because Kubernetes, and the reason why we are doing Kubernetes, because it's one of the must have these days. Almost all the companies that are hiring for DevOps and cloud role are asking for Kubernetes experience, for either certification, for um, the projects that you have implemented in Kubernetes, and the related tools such as Helm, Argo CD, GitOps, and so on. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. How much in Kate's Docker important from SRE? My SRE interview is scheduled. Please suggest me some important tips. Okay. So, Sachin, first of all, good to hear back from you after a long time. I hope you are doing well in your current job. So, what I would say is, yes, it is important because DevOps and cloud, they mostly, there are many of the roles and responsibilities overlap between those two. So I would say you should have at least the administrative knowledge of Kubernetes, and a good knowledge of Docker, right? And about the SRE interview, I would say there is, like, you can do a Google search about SRE, Google SRE handbook. Okay. So because this SRE role, if you read about its history, SRE role was created by Google itself a few years back, and then other organizations started adopting it. So the team that created this role at Google, they have published a free ebook for everyone to consume, to learn about SRE concepts, principles. What do we do as part of SRE? So just Google SRE handbook, and you will see all those details, and you will get a clear understanding of what you should be focusing on as part of your interview. Okay. And by the way, good luck. I got selected in hello Walter White. Okay, hello. I got selected in Google Cloud Innovator program. Do you have any tips for me? I'd never been to that program because I'm a Googler, so I cannot. I'm not eligible for Google Cloud Innovator, even though I have created a lot of content around Google Cloud. So from that perspective, I am eligible, but because I'm a Googler, I cannot apply for that program. So I don't think I can provide you any tips. Maybe you can reach out to someone who is already a cloud innovator, and then they can provide you some more details about it. What did you learn to switch from Cognizant to Google? Actually, it's not just one switch that helped me, or um, I've been working on my skills for past many years. Like I said, I started my journey with 2020, like I started my first job in 2012 with Accenture in India, and then I was working with a production support role for 2 3 years. Then in my team itself, they introduced DevOps. So basically, I was working with Jenkins, Chef, Artifactory, GitHub, all those tools in 2014 or 2015. And then I moved to another role, which was an level 3 support role. And then I came to Canada. Then I started with the production support role with Citibank. Then I moved to CIBC Bank as a DevOps consultant. I worked there for 2 3 years. I did many Azure certification. I learned a lot about Azure, and I learned about Azure DevOps. That was the first time I learned about Azure DevOps, and it was Azure DevOps quite new at that time when I learned it. I implemented many use cases in my organization, and then I worked as a DevOps tech lead in the same company, and my roles were little different. I used little different tools against CI/CD. Then I moved to Cognizant, um, and I worked for Bank of Montreal was my client. So in Cognizant, I was working with again Azure DevOps, Azure infrastructure as a code. I was working with serverless such as Azure Functions, Azure Logic Apps, and basically it was not an overnight thing for me. Like I was working for Cognizant for 5 months and then I was able to switch to Google. No, it happened over a period of time. I learned many new tools and technologies in that way. I did many certifications, implemented many projects at personally and for the companies that I was working for. I faced a lot of rejections. Like I created some videos around that as well. Like, so every rejection taught me a new thing. And then whenever I got failed, I'm not someone who will say that I have never failed an interview, right? I have failed like hundreds of interviews over these years, right? But each interview had taught me something. Each interview had shown me my weakness, and I worked on those things. So that helped me. So it was a long journey. Okay, thank you, Chirag. I am a third year student. I got selected in Google Cloud Innovator Program as tips for me. I want to pursue career. Yes, I've already mentioned this. Like maybe talk to someone who is a Google Cloud Innovator, and then that person could help you. Hello, Guru, again. Hello, Tendai. Welcome. Hello, Devashi. Hello, Akash. Sir, love you. Thank you so much. What do you suggest one should go for the first, cloud engineer or DevOps, and which role would give fresher job non IT to IT? Aditya, what I would say is, um, what I would say is, don't restrict yourself to roles. Okay, people will say that DevOps is not for fresher or cloud is not for fresher. No, that's not true. It's hard, right? It's hard, but then it is not impossible. I have seen many people done that, and people are doing this these days. It's not something that is impossible to achieve. What I would say is, don't restrict yourself to one role. Okay, so your first goal should be to get into cloud or DevOps. Your first goal should be to get a job in cloud and DevOps, and then you can work on your skills, you can learn new things, you can get real time experience, and then you can move to another job. So it's easy to switch between cloud to DevOps or DevOps to cloud. There is no issues with that. But for the beginning, don't restrict yourself to a particular job, because these domains are interrelated, a lot of overlap between those. So you know and when you are preparing, just try to prepare for DevOps as whole, because cloud is nothing. Cloud is a part of DevOps, so DevOps is a bigger umbrella. So if you have learned that, you should be able to apply for all of these roles. And um, then whichever role you are getting in, make sure that you start learning or start preparing for the next goal, or your next future role. Okay. Hitesh is saying, is GK metrics depends on control node API server. Actually, in one application we observed during master node upgrade, we observing pod deep at metrics, but no impact on workload. Okay, I actually am trying to understand your question. GKE metrics depends on control plane API server. So first of all, the control plane nodes, the control plane, all the components such as API server, they are working on a separate node. Okay. And you wouldn't have access to those nodes. Like when you provision a GKE cluster, the nodes that you will see in your Google Cloud Console, those are your worker nodes. And you don't have access to the control plane nodes. Now, you are asking that you have observed during master node upgrade. Okay. We observe pod deep at metrics, but no impact on workload. Yes, you don't see impact on workload because if you are using a zonal cluster, then there would be one control plane node and then you would have seen the impact. But if you are using a regional cluster, that means you have multiple control plane nodes deployed in multiple zones, right, within a region, and your loads are distributed evenly. There'll be a load balancer in front of Cube API server, which is distributing the load evenly to all those control plane nodes, right? And when there is an activity such as upgrade, it will happen in the rolling update fashion. That means all the control plane nodes will not be upgraded at the same time. It will be in the rolling update, one at a time, so that the rest of the two available nodes will be able to serve the traffic. Okay. So I hope I was able to answer your question. So yes, there wouldn't be any impact on your workload. Plus there is this thing, like if you understand how the control plane component works, so it does not impact your existing workload. Like let's say if you have one control plane node, okay, and three worker nodes, your upgrade is happening on the control plane node, the one single node that you have. So your API server, scheduler, controller, cloud controller manager, everything is going through the upgrade, and your workload will still be unimpacted. How? API server is responsible for getting for getting some for performing some operations on the cluster, but it does not impact your user, right? At the same time, when your pod crashes, your control plane would not be able to restart it because your control plane components are down, your scheduler, controller, they are down, but it would not impact your user, right? So there are these things as well. So yeah, I hope I was able to answer your question. Congratulations, you have crossed 30K subscriber. Yes, thank you so much, Abhi, Vishwa, and thank you so much, everyone. Whoever supported me in this journey so far, whoever is willing to support me. Yes, it took me 2 years to complete, more than 2 years to complete first 10K subscriber, and then next 6 months to complete the next 10K, and from 20,000 to 30,000 we have achieved in past 1.5 months. So we are growing as a community exponentially, and I cannot thank you enough for all the supports, all the love that I'm getting, especially from the Kubernetes and Azure DevOps series. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate all your gestures, all your wishes that you are sending me. So thank you so much. um, Actually, I have a 4 year of experience. Let's do a quick time check. Okay, we still have some time. Okay. Actually, I have a 4 year of experience in DevOps support role, but now I want to switch into core DevOps. But an interview HR is asking me like I have 10 years of experience. Please suggest. Um, yes, it happens. It happens a lot of time, and you will face a lot of rejections based on the current experience that you have or what you have done so far. So the idea is to keep trying. Okay, idea is not to lose the patience. Keep improving yourself, keep upskilling yourself, And if you are able to justify the answers asking in the interview, then you should be able to present yourself in much better position. And remember, you just have to be at the right place at the right time. Okay, there'll be a lot of rejections, so accept that fact that yes, it happens a lot of time that you will be rejected. But try to learn from your interviews. When you are giving the interview, when you are failing a interview, try to think of it as a learning experience. Okay, after the interview, try to recognize all the questions or all the scenarios that they have asked, and see where you are lacking, and see if you can do anything to improve those skills or those questions that you were not able to answer properly. you know just keep trying, and yes, I'm sure there'll be a right time for you when they will, like, not everyone will do that, right? Not everyone would expect you to have 10 years of experience. But there'll be some company, there'll be some interviewer who keep that fact aside and who will evaluate your skills based on the experience that you have or based on the learnings that you did. So just keep trying until that time comes. Okay, I wish you all the best. Same issue I also get, bro, using kind and with replicas. What issue you mean? Sorry, Mohan Murli, can you please explain this a little better? You mean the cluster upgrade, or which issue are we talking about? If you want to learn K8s for the first time, what will be your approach? Like how you will learn it? And thanks for answering my question. Okay, because so that you don't have to figure out all yourself. That is why I've started this playlist. So just try to understand the basic Linux fundamentals, basic Unix commands, and then start with this playlist. Okay, in this playlist you will start with Docker, and we'll go from there. So it's everything is covered in this playlist. And let's say if there is something that you are still not clear about, you can then go and read some documentation about it, watch some other video, or do some research on your own to get more knowledge, or to get deep dive knowledge on that particular topic. And that's what I would suggest. Okay, next question is Taha is asking, is Docker a prerequisite for your CK series? Answer is yes and no. Yes, because Docker is a prerequisite for CK or Kubernetes, and no, because I have already covered all the Docker related topics in this series. So yes, you can start with day one video or day zero video, because it will give you some more details, and everything will be covered. Don't worry about it. Can you share your setup and stuff you use? You mean for recording and everything? If that is your question, I use OBS for recording, StreamYard for live streaming. I use DaVinci Resolve for video editing. Uh, I'm using a Sony camera. It's Sony Alpha 3. I'm using a MacBook M2 machine, and I'm using a Rode Signature NT1 mic. What else? I'm using a boom arm. I have a Elgato Wave XLR audio interface. What else? Let me see. I'm using a light over here, which is basically a key light. I guess it's Godox or something. It's a big light uh, with a dome on top of it. And yeah, that's all about it. Will there be any JSON path question in the CK? I mean, JSON path in the scope of CK, Prasant? Yes, that's true. JSON path will be there. It could be there. It wouldn't be there, but yes, it's part of the CK. So there could be one question, but it's pretty simple, and I wouldn't suggest you to skip that topic because it's easy to understand. It's pretty simple, and is it something that a Kubernetes administrator or anything that is working with Kubernetes use on a day-to-day job, right? So I guess it's covered in day 40 video or day 39, something like that. So there'll be a video for JSON path. Don't worry about it. I have covered it. How to increase the chances of shortlisting the profile for SRE? It's kind of It is not specific to SRE, it's specific to any role that you are applying to. Do your research well about the role and what are the roles and responsibilities of that role, and then see if your resume or if your past experience or your learning is matching with that. Okay, try to add some projects that you have implemented that is focused on observability. Try to understand, try to get some certifications that are specific to SRE or DevOps related roles, and try to learn tools and technologies that are focused mostly on SRE. So that is what I suggested earlier. Google something called Google SRE Handbook, right? It's an ebook. It has everything. It was published by Google. So read about it and then see if you have those skills, and then see if you have those things in your resume or not, and then you can work from there. Okay, is it necessary to learn DSA for SRE or DevOps role? It depends on the company that you are applying to. Okay, so I will tell you based on my experience. Okay, if you are applying for Google as an SRE role, then yes, there'll be a DSA round. If you are applying for DevOps engineer or DevOps consultant in Amazon, when I did the interview, I did it for multiple times for DevOps role. There were no DSA round, but I'm not sure about the current situation. So it depends on the role and the company that you are applying to. And yeah, that's the only thing that I say about this. And mostly for fresher, yes, it could be there. But if you are someone who's experienced professional, then the chances are for DevOps or DevOps roles specifically, there won't be any DSA round. For SRE, there could be, yes. What will be after completing 40 days of Kubernetes, whether we have a chance of getting into company as a DevOps intern? Okay. Gopi, what I will suggest you is to getting getting knowledge is one thing, okay? But showing the recruiters or hiring managers that you have that knowledge or skills is another thing, and that's very important skill. It's people will call you are doing show off, or people will call you are just bragging about your skills, but it is necessary. If the person who is hiring for that role didn't know that you have those skills, then it doesn't matter whatever have you done till now, right? So make sure you increase your visibility on social media, and not just by sharing useless posts about politics or all those things. No, don't do that. Try to make meaningful connections. Try to spread your learnings. There is a concept called learning in public. That means whatever you are learning, you share with others. Share it in a language that other could also understand, and they could take some help out of it. you know Try to see if it is helping some problems, some issues that are there. So try to increase your visibility like this. Try to build some project and share it in a blog post, or share your GitHub profile with the readme of all the step by step instructions. Try to do those things. Try to implement the projects that actually solve some problem. Or and as a DevOps engineer, Kubernetes admin, your focus should not be on building a good UI or of a good front end. Your focus should be on implementing all the DevOps and cloud and Kubernetes principles. How can you make the application more robust, highly available, fault tolerant? How can you implement continuous monitoring, alerting on that? How can you implement infrastructure as a code? How can you Dockerize the application, deploy it on Kubernetes, and so on? So keep your focus on those things rather than building a fancy project. Make sure your project should have enough components, like it has front end, it has back end, maybe cache, maybe a database, all those things, so that it is complex enough from the architectural point of view, not from the code point of view, right? And um that's what I would suggest. Okay. Karan is saying, is 1 month enough to prepare for AWS solution architect? Karan, it depends on your current skill level. Like, what do you know till now? If you are absolute beginner, to AWS or cloud, I would say like it totally depends, and it depends on various other factors like how much time you are dedicating per day, how are you learning, whether you are just watching the videos or reading through documentation, or you actually doing the hands-on as well. If you are doing hands-on, then it could take a lot of time, and that should be the right approach. But there is no right answer to this question. It depends on person to person. Like someone could complete that in one day. Let's say someone is dedicating 8 to 10 hours, or no, that could be, that should be more than enough. But let's say someone is dedicating 5 to 6 hours per day, then yes, it could be possible. But you getting my point. It depends on person to person. Tiki is saying great work with the CK series. Can you come up with a tutorial for real life CI/CD implementation from development to QA to prod? Definitely, definitely. Like you can check out the existing playlist that we have. It's called 10 weeks of cloud ops in my channel. It has many amazing real time projects. But yes, the way you are doing from development to QA to prod, I guess there'll be a couple of projects for that as well, and it's covered from in our Azure DevOps series as well. But yes, once we are done with this CKA series, we'll be definitely doing a lot more of these real time implementation. Aditya is saying, can you create a video explaining different roles? Which one should we focus on? Okay, so that's what I said, Aditya. It wouldn't be fair for me to talk about every single role that is available, right? Even though I know about few of the roles, but I wouldn't be knowing it deep enough, and most of the things that I would share in that video would be based on my perception and my research, which could not be 100% true, right? So that is why I'm planning a series, a short series, maybe 7 to 10 videos, and I will be bringing industry experts that are working on these roles, like cloud architects, a DevSecOps engineer, or like a cyber security specialist, a data analyst, data engineer, and then it will provide you more clarity on their how their day-to-day life or day-to-day roles and responsibilities looks like. How did they do their preparation? How did they got into that role? What is important? What is not? And then you can make your decision based on all those answers, right? So it's not something that I could cover in one video, and it wouldn't be fair for me to talk about the topics that I never worked with, right? So I'll be doing that shortly, don't worry. Any tips for third year student who want to pursue career in cloud computing? I would say, you know if you are starting with cloud computing, keep your basics strong. Keep your basic, like start with Linux, GitHub, pick a cloud. Okay, AWS or Azure or GCP. Don't go with any other cloud other than these three. Pick either of these clouds, start working on it, try to gain a good level of fundamental knowledge. Like you can prepare for the foundation level certification as you are still in college, like AWS certified cloud practitioner or AZ 900 or Google cloud digital leader. Either go with all these, even though like there are from time to time they offer the free certification vouchers which I share on my videos, so you can take that advantage. If you can pay for the certification, that's good. If you are not able to pay for the certification, then at least learn what's there as part of the certification curriculum. That would give you a roadmap of what you should know as part of a foundation level knowledge in the cloud, or whichever cloud you are learning, right? So try with that, start with that, and then try to build some good hands-on projects, right? As I've mentioned before, you can either start with 10 weeks of cloud ops real-time projects. It has many real-time projects. Even if you do uh, first four projects that good, or first five projects, that's good enough for a fresher. Okay, and make sure you document everything on a blog post or a GitHub repository so that you can show that as an artifact in the interview, and you can add that in your resume by hyperlinking that blog post or everything, right? So that's what I would suggest you should start from. Is your playlist enough to get stronghold on DevOps? Provide we practice the project that you have shown. Akash, I would say it depends on your level of experience. Like if you are After implementing all those projects and after learning all those from that Azure DevOps series, if you are applying for, let's say, an experienced professional who has 8 to 10 years of experience, that might not be enough. But if you are someone who is a beginner to intermediate level, then yes, that's good enough. Plus, make sure you understand some concepts that are not covered as part of the series, right? In that series, we focus mostly on Azure DevOps and its related concepts, but there are other concepts which are important from interview point of view or from a DevOps engineer role point of view, like Git branching, Git flow, topics such as uh, DevSecOps, topics such as monitoring, alerting, logging, which I have not covered in that series. um, there are many more topics, right? So make sure you cover all those and complement it with the Azure DevOps series. Then yes, then you'll be ready. Jaydeep is asking, thank you for your courses and DevOps project. I was unemployed for 3 months, but this week I got a job offer for Kubernetes administrator with 150% hike. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jaydeep, for spreading the happiness and for sharing this amazing news. I'm glad that you did, and I'm glad that my videos were helpful. So this really means a lot. And thank you so much for sharing with everyone. I wish you all the best for your career, and please keep in touch. Thank you so much for sharing it. I am 1.8 year of experience in DevOps engineer applying for jobs, but there were no callbacks for me. I don't know what can you do. What can I do? Suggest me anything. Okay, so this is in continuation to what I was explaining earlier. So I hope you were there in the previous, like what we were doing till now, or you can rewatch the video once it is published. So make sure, like when you are reaching out to recruiters over, let's say, LinkedIn, when you are reaching out to managers who are hiring and so on, you are reaching out to one to one, and you are reaching out in a in a way that has little or low impact, right? Let's say you are reaching out or you are applying for jobs, 50 jobs per week, let's say, for an example. But when you are making your presence visible over LinkedIn by showcasing your projects that you have built, by sharing your blog post or by sharing the tutorials that you have created, then you are reaching a lot more people. You are reaching hundreds and thousands of recruiters and hiring managers, and that's the impact that you want to create with your profile, with your resume, and with the work that you have done. So think about that. Think about how you can scale this reach. you know think about sharing the things that that add some value to someone who's reading it or watching it. Think about how you can reach out to them in the way that is scalable than what you were doing till now. Okay, try to implement some projects, and like all the things that we have shared, right? And yes, there'll be, like Jaydeep just mentioned, right? He was unemployed for 3 months, but that did not stop him from applying for roles, or that did not stop him from upskilling. He kept on trying, he kept on upskilling himself, and he finally got the job with a good offer, with a good hike, and so on, right? So make sure you do that. Make sure you keep the patience. Make sure you keep trying, keep upskilling yourself. I have an interview tomorrow for SRE. Any suggestions in Python? Suraj, I would say the time that you have, I would say focus on three things. First is go to Google and search for Google SRE handbook, read about it, learn about it and all those concepts. Then think about how you can implement an end-to-end observability solution in the project that you are working with, including monitoring, alerting, logging, and so on. How you can create SLOs, SLIs, and so on, right? And then think about the task that you have automated in your project using Python, or um, that you can do, even though if you have not done it, that you can do, so that you can say in the interview, yes, this is something that I have been working on. It's not completed, but this is something that I have been working on. So try this. AWS Champ, is Docker mandatory for CKA? Yes, I've answered this as well. So it's mandatory for CKA because without understanding Docker or without understanding containers, you wouldn't be able to understand Kubernetes. Kubernetes is what? It's a container orchestration tool that helps the management of container and simplify it, right? So for that, you have to understand what is a container, how it works, what are the challenges with containers that does not run behind an orchestration system such as Kubernetes. So yes, it's a mandatory thing to have. But if you are following my playlist, I have covered the Docker end to end, so don't worry. Okay, this I have already answered. If you want to move from SD to DevOps cloud role and we are starting as a fresher, what is the ideal time before? There is no ideal time, Akash. I would say it depends on the things that you have learned, but um, maybe you should spend at least 2 years in your first company. If you have some conditions which is unbearable, then only you should move before that time. Like, condition could be anything, right? It could be you are not getting paid enough, or you are not able to survive in the salary that you are getting. You are getting a wonderful opportunity outside the company, or there could be many more things, right? So that's what I would suggest. um Regarding how would you move from SDE to DevOps or cloud role, you see, uh cloud or DevOps roles, they don't focus much on building the application or writing the actual application code, right? They focus on how to deploy it, how to host it, how to make sure that is highly available, fault tolerant, and how do we implement observability around it, right? All those things. But if you are an SD, already you know how to build the application. That's something that is missing from most of the DevOps or cloud professionals that are out there. So what you can do, instead of just taking out a simple application to implement the CI/CD or all those things that you have mentioned, you can take your own project. You can build something that is, let's say a full stack application, a web application, or anything that solves some problem, which is a real time application, and you can build everything around it. You can build CI/CD on it. You can Dockerize these applications. You can host it on Kubernetes. You can implement monitoring, alerting, logging around it. You can automate infrastructure as a code using Terraform on that, and a lot of other things that you can do. So you remember, if you are a developer, you have an extra edge on top of what others are doing, right? So make sure you utilize that experience. Okay. And this I have already answered. Okay, can you give me tips on how to increase the chances of? Okay, this I have already answered, and this is already answered. Today only I came across your Azure DevOps 0 to Hero. You have covered everything. I started today only. Okay, Lokesh, welcome to Azure DevOps series. I wish you will have a pleasant learning experience, and make sure you do the hands-on of whatever you are learning. Okay, and then only it will be able to help you much. I think you are underrated by YouTube. Okay, I'm not sure about it. I believe there would be a right place at the right time. If I have gotten, let's say, 100K subscriber in first 1 year, maybe I would have become some influencer or someone. And now that I have worked hard to achieve what I'm getting, I value it. I value the comments of each of the subscriber that I get. I take out time to reply each of the questions personally. I take out time for everything that I should have done. So I think, like, I believe in continuous improvement. I believe in slow and steady progress rather than overnight success. So I think I'm in good place. But thank you for your support, and your basically your encouragement for this. Thank you. How about dedicated series on live interview on DevOps with fresher and experience? I would have done that. Even I thought about it. I have asked in my Discord community, but there are, a lot more complications to it. Let's say I've interviewed someone like a mock interview. Okay. And that person is a fresher when I am doing that video, but after some time that person get placed in some company, okay, and then he or she will reach out to me saying that I don't want my company or my manager to see the videos because of so and so reason. So then I have to put the video down. So there are certain challenges by doing this. um, Plus, um, you know, maybe I'll think about it later on, and I think about I'll discuss with few more people how we can execute it perfectly. But for the time being, I'm focusing mostly on providing the learning and experience rather than doing the mock interviews. And it could add some complications to the process. But thanks for bringing that up. I'll definitely think about it. I'm able to do assignments in my day-to-day work, but unable to answer in interviews. I don't understand why I don't get the answer at the peak time of answering the interviewer. I'm able to do my assignments in day-to-day work, but unable to answer in the interviews. Okay, so like location, it happens. I mean, you will improve this with some practice, uh, with some more experience giving the interviews. You know, the thing that I was mentioning before, most of the times it happens that you know certain things but you don't know how to answer it, or you are blank during the interview. You cannot express the things the way it should have been expressed, or you could have done better, right? But it will eventually improve as you keep giving the interviews, as you keep showing as you keep working on your skills. So what I would suggest, try to find a study group or try to give some mock interviews to someone who's there in the industry. you know Utilize a Discord server. In the Discord server I have created the few study groups. I would have done that personally, but it's hard for me to take out time for every like these many things, so I'm restricted with that. But you can post your question in the study group, that about, like, explaining about yourself and what I want to do, where I'm lacking. If someone is there who can do the mock interview for me, right, and someone will definitely help you out. So try to take advantage from the community, try to ask for the assistance, and someone will definitely help you with that. But eventually it will be improved as you are moving ahead with the interviews, as you are giving more interviews. This will improve for sure, right? Thank you for motivating. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Can you touch base on upon Kate's offloading user management to a third party providers? Yes, these all topics will be covered, because Okta, SSO, all these are important concepts when it comes to um, you know the user management part of it, authentication and so on. So yes, I'll be covering that in some time after we are done with CK series. Okay, you may position yourself a bit different and you will succeed. Yes, definitely, Guru. I totally agree with that point. Mohan Murli image pull off. Oh, you mean you were facing the same issue, image pull off? Okay, so let's do that. If you are facing this issue, like I have mentioned earlier as well, there are few common causes of this issue. So try to open a new thread in the CK 40 days of Kubernetes help channel, and someone will help you out. If not, I'll look that tomorrow. Today, I won't be able to do that, but tomorrow I'll try to do that. Logging off, very long day for me. Thank you. Thank you, Guru, for joining, and I wish you have a good night. Take care. So we will be closing this session in next 15 minutes. So please ask your question, and now I will try to answer in a faster way, so that I'll be able to answer many questions. How about a podcast with Abhishek Virmala and other DevOps professionals discussing on current market situation, how to crack DevOps? Yes, Akshay. So I have actually recorded a video with Abhishek recently. It's yet to be published, and you will see it soon. So don't worry about it. And regarding uh, other DevOps professional with current market situation and so on, yes, definitely, I am planning that also. We'll be doing that soon. Okay, first let's take this. Jaideep has given a small token of appreciation. Thank you so much, Jaideep. Thank you for the nice gesture. Okay, and let's take the next question. Where were we? Okay, if I follow your playlist, which certification I can crack with the help of job search in DevOps? This certification is so my Azure DevOps certification is mostly for AZ400 series, but there are some topics missing because I focus mostly on Azure DevOps real implementation, which helps you get into a job or which helps you get the fundamentals knowledge of Azure DevOps. So it's partly covered Azure AZ400 series, but this series, Kubernetes series, it covers entire CKA series and even more than that. So that should be more than enough. I had interviewed for Splunk for SRE role, and they asked DSA for the first round itself. So you see, that's what I've told you before that it depends on company. And for SRE roles, yes, DSA are is mostly being asked for SRE roles in many big tech companies. So that's good. Jaideep, maybe yeah, if you are interested, we can do a podcast together about your interview experience, the resources that you have used, and you know anything about the SRE role that you are currently working with. So I'll try to reach out to you over LinkedIn, and if you are interested, we can definitely share this knowledge with our viewers. Okay, image pullback of error issue faced while deploying pod as deployment with replicas 3 using kind. One pod is running, but others were issue with the image pullback off. So if that is the case, that means you might be hitting some other issues related to, let's say, resource constraints. So try to describe on one of those failing pods and you will get your answer. It could be OOM errors or it could be um, out of memory errors and so on. So do a describe on those failing pods, go a little up where you see all the events, and then you will see something called as terminated and the error reason. You will find the answer in that, and do docker logs, kubectl logs as well if you can. Any plans to start Linux series? Yes, that's what I'm planning. Okay, that's what I'm planning after this. But as I've said before, I will start a poll on all the social media platform, and if I get enough requests, then yes, definitely I'm gonna start Linux. Is your course on AZ 900 enough? Please create AI 900 tutorial. Yes, BPS, the AZ 900 series is more than enough to clear AZ 900. It has many concepts, and I have done many hands-on as well, which was not even required for AZ 900. But yes, it's more than enough. For AI 900, I don't have plans as of now because I myself never gave the certification, so I cannot do that, right? But let's plan sometime later. Thank you, Gopi. Thank you for your support, for helping me reach this 30K mark. And I'm sure we'll be doing a live stream soon for 100K as well, with everyone's love and support. So please try to share the channel with whoever is learning cloud or DevOps, anything specific to that. I would really appreciate that. Nalla Engineering. Hello, sir. Hello. Hello, buddy. How are you? Please include CK also day to day in K to DevOps. And yes, yes, definitely. We'll be doing that once we are done with this. Terraform with project. Yes, I already have a few videos about Terraform with projects. It includes there'll be a video about if you go to my channel and search for Terraform, you will see some real-time projects, one with AKS and Azure Kubernetes service, and there'll be one within 10 weeks of CloudOps, which is Terraform 2 tier on AWS. I guess there was one more. Oh, yeah. So I have a total of three end-to-end implementation. Okay, the third one is in Azure DevOps series, so you can check for those as well. Before we create the entire Terraform series, is certification for AWS or Terraform is enough for switching the job? No, not just the certification is not enough. You have to showcase your skill by implementing projects. You have to reach out to many people, asking for guidance, or uh, whoever is hiring in their company, in their team, and so on. So certification plus real time hands on experience is what makes you a job eligible in this market. Let me rephrase for Kates. Managing Kates in self environment, especially on data center on premises hardware, regarding OS installation, networking, how to manage K8, CNI, and other aspects. I still don't get your question. Managing Kates, okay. So let's say you are managing Kubernetes, especially on your on prem data center, regarding OS installation, networking, how to manage Kate, CNI, and other aspects. How to manage, as in, like you use different tools for CNIs, right? You install that on top of your cluster, which helps with all the CNI functions to it. But I don't still don't get it. Sorry about that. Regarding prerequisite skill, Linux, advanced networking, OS internal, which topics should we stressed? I don't know. I don't really understand your question. I'm really sorry, Sandy, but maybe we can connect later on and we can try to answer your question. Okay. Very impressive mind blogging question. I have attended four more interviews for a DevOps. Each one was particularly asking for Terraform and K8's live deployment for fresher how to tackle. So if you know what people are asking these days in the market, then you already know what you need to work on, right? So try to implement what you have learned in real time projects. Try to do that all the hands on and try to create the blog out of it and a GitHub repository, right? And then it will be helpful for you to answer those questions, and you can show them artifacts as well, that yes, this is what I have done. Okay. Okay. So I am preparing for GCPA certification. So for GCPAs, I have an entire playlist. It's called Namaste Google Cloud. Check it out on my channel. It has 21 videos and everything is covered in that. So go for it. Okay. Ajay, I'm from Canada. I have experience of 4 years as a developer. I'm learning a DevOps from 1.5 years. I have AWS DevOps certification. I'm good in GCP. And should I go for Azure to get job? So if you have already experience working with AWS, you have CKA certification, you are good with GCP as well. I don't think at this point you need to learn another cloud. You already have worked with couple of clouds, so that should be more than enough to get a job. Once you are in the job, you can definitely learn a new cloud if you want. So this is what I have done. I was working with AWS and Azure DevOps, all the related tools, and CI/CD. But when I got into Google, only then I started learning GCP. Before that, I didn't have any experience or any learning experience or hands-on experience with GCP. So that is like learning all the three clouds is not required for a job. If you have two clouds, that's more than enough, right? So yeah, go for it. Hello, Piyush. What would you say is the best practice for Kubernetes cluster between remote server and local computers like we are currently doing? Okay. Is the best practice for Kubernetes cluster between remote server and local computer? Okay. So I would say start with the local installation. Kind cluster is should be the way to go. And then practice on remote servers. So do both of those. Okay. Not just don't just depend on the local installation, or don't just depend on the cloud services or remote virtual servers and so on. So do both, then you will understand a lot more details. Because when you do the local installation, you will start working on it at the same time and you don't have to worry about the underlying things. But then when you start learning control plane components in depth, when you start learning installation upgrades, or how traffic moves between worker nodes and master nodes, what ports needs to open, then the remote server will come handy. And then that's when you learn all those concepts. So do both of those. Recommendation after 40 days of Kubernetes Series 1, implementation of real time monitoring in prod grade cluster. Okay, CRDs, operators, HCD backups, fault tolerance. Okay, so for HCD backup and restore, I already have a video in this CKA series, right? And if you want to cover more on top of that, we can create separate video about highly available HCD setup, right? And regarding CRD's operators, that's already there in the plan. So yes, we'll be definitely doing that. And upgrade cluster version, it's covered in this CKA series. Don't worry about it. Even installation is covered. Installation, upgrade, HCD backup and restore. Then we have a lot more topic are covered. You can check that in GitHub repository if they are not published yet, but it's covered. Best practices, yes, that's a good topic. Troubleshooting series, okay. And help, yes, definitely. Thanks, Copy. Thank you so much, Piyush. And CK was mandatory certification required by the company, which are cleared 2 months back now, aiming for CKs. I think CK is more valuable than any other cloud certification. That's true. You know, CKA is one of the most valuable certification in all the Kubernetes certification that's been provided, because it gives you a good level of understanding of Kubernetes, not from the developer perspective or not from the security perspective, but from the overall cluster maintenance perspective. So yeah, that's an important thing to have, and that's an important certification to have in your resume. And yeah, thank you for sharing that, Jadip. Okay, how are we doing with the time? Okay, so we have 3 minutes. I'm just gonna take some questions that are quick enough to answer. Okay. Um, are you giving CKS a thought anytime soon after exam? So when I when I create an video series or a video, I make sure that I have real time experience on that. I did CK a series, this series that we are talking about. I created that because I did CK certification 4 years back. And I gave the exam again this month so that I validate my knowledge again on CKA perspective. And I make sure that my series is up to date. Plus, I am working with Kubernetes as part of my day-to-day life and my day-to-day job responsibility. So that's why I think CK would have made more sense, and it's one of the important certifications to have. For CKS, I will not create the series until I get myself CKS certified. So maybe it will happen soon. I have purchased the bundle of all the 5 exams. So I'll be giving all those Kubernetes exam one by one. I did that CK. I'll be giving rest of those soon. So once I do that, I would have more understanding of CK, and then I can definitely create videos on that. Where is the study group? It is a Telegram group. It's a Discord server. You can search for this. I'm just gonna paste the link over here. CloudOps community.org. Okay, I have shared a link. Okay, let me just pin it over here, the cloudopscommunity.org. This is our community website. Over there, click on join us and you will be redirected to our Discord server. There you will find the study groups. Okay, you can join that. Now, okay, 2 3 4 minutes. Let's see. Please provide the way. Yeah, I've already provided you that. Please provide the take class of Azure templates. Yeah, Kishore, I would see if I have enough. Uh, I would see if I have enough request for Azure templates, ARM templates, basically. Actually, ARM templates are getting replaced slowly by Bicep. So if you are learning infrastructure as a code in Azure, I would suggest focusing on Bicep other than ARM templates. Right? What software you use for animation GIFs creation? This is to develop some flow diagrams on my own. So I used a lot of tools for animation. I use mostly, there's a tool called Video Scribe, but it's mostly paid. Then I used eraser.io for the diagrams. I use Excalibur, draw.io. Yeah, these things. So these are the most of the tools that I've used for diagrams and animations. Could not able to see the logs for the crash loop back. Okay, so if you're not able to see the logs, you can do a describe on that pod and you will see the event. Make sure you read the entire output of describe command, and if you go to the top where it says status, it will show you in terminated, and there'll be a reason for that, so you can check that. Are you using Helm in the CK series? No, Mohan, it will be covered after the CK series. Helm is not part of CK. Is it good to learn PostgreSQL as DevOps engineer? Yeah, it's a good addition. That's no harm in that. You can definitely do that. Thank you. So we can start applying for DevOps role after 2 years. I've just started as an SD after finishing college. Okay, Akash, if you have just started working as an SD, I would say spend some time on that. Learn new things, implement new things, and after a year, then think about it whether you really want to go into DevOps or are you enjoying the SD role more, right? So there is nothing written, or it's not a fact that one role is better than another role. It's mostly depends on your skills. It's mostly depend on what you like and what you don't. So if you are enjoying your SD role more than a role that you have never worked with, so I wouldn't say to move to a different role. Okay, not at least in the beginning. Can I connect on LinkedIn to get mentorship? Actually, Ajay, I'm sorry for that, but I don't do a one-on-one mentoring because I really don't have time to do that. I try to contribute to the community as much as possible through. I can definitely, if you have any quick question, you can ping me on LinkedIn. I'll try to reply, and I try my best to create the content that has more impact rather than one-to-one mentoring. So that's why I create these videos. I provide mentorship over Discord community. Like, I try to answer the questions that's been asked, or I try to help someone who's facing the issue. And that's all the time that I have got, and I try to utilize it properly. But one-on-one mentorship is not something that I do. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you can check out with Guru. On LinkedIn, and he will definitely help you with the mentorship if you need. Okay, thank you, Guru. Okay, Herman is saying, take my question. Which question, Herman? I don't see. Okay, I'm 17 and working as a front end intern. Should I pursue bachelor degree at a foreign university costing 10 lakhs after scholarship, or stay home and learn coding while attending a tier 3 college? At Herman, this is not something that I would suggest you. Like, I don't think I would be someone who is suggesting you to whether you spend your hard earned 10 lakh on something or not to do that. It should be your decision. It should be your parents' decision, like what you want to do and what is more important for you. um if you are good at something, if you are good at coding, or if you are, you see, you are, I believe you are just school pass out and you are already working as a front end intern, then you don't need a fancy label in front of you, right? You can do a degree from staying there, staying at home, attending any college whatsoever, and then you can get into a company that you aspire for. You know, many a times hard work and talent and skills are most important, or more important than your fancy college name tag. So that's my perception, but again, it should be your decision, and this is not something that I should be commenting on. Okay. um Ask because DevOps has great demand in the market and pay would be great compared to SD. Though I love SD job. See, if you are good at something, uh, then it doesn't matter what you want to do, right? You could be a good peon at a school, but you have to be best in your job, right? So if you think uh, remaining an SD, you will love your job, then it's just a matter of time that you will get a really good pay, even better than the DevOps engineers, right? So make sure you spend enough time, make sure you spend a good amount of time in learning and implementing all those things, and then decide whether this is something that you really want to do, or if you want to move to a different role. You can do that after a few years, but make sure you explore your current role first before, just because someone told you that DevOps engineers are getting paid more than SDs. So don't do that just thinking about it. Try to be in that role. Try to make at least a one switch from this company to another company after a couple of years, maybe, and see whether you like the job or not. Okay, see the salary that you'll be getting after that switch, and then compare it with your own research. Okay, so that's what I would say. And that's it for today, folks. I'm really hungry now. I haven't had my breakfast yet. So I'm sure you're having a good day. And I will see you soon. Make sure, like whoever is following the 40 days of Kubernetes series, make sure to complete all the hands on tasks given in each of the folders. And I have scheduled 4 new videos for the upcoming week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you complete all the tasks in given in the video and in the GitHub repository, and feel free to reach out if you need any help with anything, and I will be helping you out. So thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye bye.